Unconditional love. That's a beautiful term, concept, feeling, experience that is just all sorts of goodness that I think we really love to experience when we have it for someone, and we really enjoy thinking that someone has that for us. And I know, for example, my little doggo over here, Fluffy, absolute unconditional love. There's nothing Fluffy could do that would have me not absolutely be madly in love with him. And I know also, as a human walking the planet, that I don't know that I experienced unconditional love in the way that I wanted to or needed to as a human child and then adult, etc., growing up. At certain parts of my development, all the way completely, such that I ended up not somehow needing to work stuff out in my adult life through all sorts of personal development work that I do, and coaching and therapy and plant medicines and all the breath workshops and all the cool things that we do in order to continue to grow and evolve and be happy. So that experience of unconditional love is just so potent and important, and sought after, from my experience and from what I see pretty much from everyone that I've ever worked with, sort of secretly behind the scenes, not even in our in our unconscious desires. We don't walk around thinking, I want to be unconsciously loved. But a part of us that kind of runs the ship, that is deep, deep, deep in there from long, 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 long ago, differently for different people, but still aches for the experience of knowing that we are loved no matter what. And that is so much of what the not enoughness comes from, or trying to prove, working really hard to prove ourselves to be loved, all the different things we do in order to be loved. There's this young part that really craves that experience, whether we had it or didn't have it. I believe we experienced that we didn't have it. I haven't met anyone who hasn't. And so one of the powerful things that I hear, I was in a conversation yesterday with a coach, and he was sharing with me how something he was really, really inspired by. He was reading a book, and in the book, it was talking about how people were sharing how in the presence of this amazing coach, they felt unconditionally loved. And coach I was talking to was like, had read this book and was like, I'm so inspired by that. It's like, yeah, that's so powerful for people. And I'm like, yes, that's so powerful for people. And the reason, I continue to explain to him, the reason that's so powerful for people is that the way that functions in a coaching or a therapeutic relationship is that when you're in space with someone, whether it's live in person or on Zoom or wherever it is that we're coaching them, if we've created that container of trust, and we've, as the coach, expertly opened a field where limbic resonance can easily happen, where everything is sensitive and flowing, and you're really present as a coach, really open and inviting, and you can bring your client into that space where they're open and they can feel from you. You kind of start playing in that unconscious space. Then when you as the coach embody a state of unconditional love for that person, their nervous system feels what that feels like. And it may be that they never in their life ever experienced that. It's something that is so important for us to have. And, you know, when people talk about loving yourself, right, or love that part of yourself, we don't, like, how do you do that? Like, hot baths and chocolate, like, what do you do with that? How do you really love yourself? We're looking for the feeling. And so as the coach, for a while, when a client first comes to us, what we're really doing is taking on a kind of sponsorship role for the mom or for the dad or for wherever it was that unconditional love didn't come when they were young and they needed it. And those like little spots got tense on the inside. We're sponsoring that space, and they are feeling, the client is feeling in the field now in their nervous system what that is, with how that feels, which is so amazing and so inherently healing. You almost don't need to do anything else. Just that. It does so much of the work for us, that experience. And then once they experience what unconditional, like I just know so many examples of clients where they're judging on themselves and they're being so harsh on themselves. And I'm like, oh, that's great that you did that. And they're like, really? I'm being the example for them of how ultimately they can be with themselves. So the goal is for them to know what the feeling is and then begin to practice and be able to give themselves that feeling on the inside. So their big grown-up self can begin to sort of filter in and rain down and flood their younger, hurt, closed, defended parts with that love, because now they know what that love is, because they felt it. It's with our little limbic system connection from you as the sponsor for that, right? Really powerful work. The aim is to help them know how to do that for themselves. This is really, really powerful. Also, this is very, very, very tricky. And if you were training to be a therapist, absolutely one of the things that they would teach you about is transference. So you really want to watch out for the boundaries and the way that your client relates to you. So you don't want them to stick it on you, that really good feeling, even though they're experiencing it in the space with you. You want to energetically be very sensitive to, are they starting to kind of like attach? Are they getting hooked, right? You're the source of the unconditional love. So when you start to feel that almost like fanboy or fangirl energy coming at you from them, where they're just like idolizing you, it's like, oh my God, you're so amazing. It feels so good, right? As coaches, it feels so good when our clients love what we're doing. We feel like confident in our skills and we're like, okay, I did a good job. They're happy with the coaching. But then our own pride and stuff, and it feels really amazing. And of course, for business, it's great, right? You want them to spread the word about how great you are. And there's levels of that. So you want to be clear with them all along the way, because we're creating powerful coaching clients, that if you start to sense that they're sticking you on this pedestal and it's you that's doing it, you keep reminding them, you take yourself off that pedestal, that it's them. It's all about them. It's not you. You have to be watching out for that. Otherwise, you're going to end up creating problems, right? You can see that in certain communities. I've had different teachers who would offer that energy, and then the people around them felt so filled up and then were just like devoted, just adoration and devotion. They were finally getting this nutrient. They were finally getting, me included, finally getting, oh my God, it's like being in the light finally. And it was this person. And terrible, traumatic things can happen in a system that reinforces that it's like this guru teacher person, right? That is the reason for that feeling. You want to create a world where you are the guide for the moment, but you're empowering your students, your clients, the people around you, your community, to become that for themselves, that ultimately they don't need you. They're not stuck to you, and they can keep referring people to you. They know how great you are. You don't need it. So be careful with the unconditional love. But you can absolutely, if you know what you're doing, embody that and use that as one of your most powerful coaching skills to help sponsor your clients while they're learning how to love themselves unconditionally. Enjoy your work, coaches. The world needs you. Mwah.